All right, let's get into it. Listen, check it. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, and with the breastplate of the righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So, my friends, it's time to stand tall and firm and to face the evils that we have in our culture today. So, my name is Kyle Yoder. I'm also known as FunLovingDad. I've been working on a project called Facing Goliath, which is my walk in faith, and also the awakening that we have in the faith. But one thing that is true that my eyes have been open to, and it's coming from the eyes of a 10-year-old and what he's telling me and things that he sees in this world. And the truth is, what he sees is confusion and evil. Don't you? So let's be honest. So, with this series, Yoder On You, I want us to really talk about these cultural issues and how we can bring everybody together. And we're going to do it simply by loving our neighbors, one neighbor at a time, and be the light. Show them that there is a way that we could fix all ills. Now, it is my firm belief that everything in you can change by reading the Bible. I shared my journey started by opening up the pages and just reading back and forth and back, every morning, opening where the page lands, it lands. The wisdom that comes through it opens up your mind and changes your heart. But with that, you begin to have eyes that see and ears to hear. So, we have to talk about some things. Listen, this nonsense of us being a 50-50 country is from the spiritual forces of evil, plain and simple. There's forces that want us to be divided and to forget of our identity. And I will tell you, and I believe that if we embrace what our founders have set up and understand that we are a nation that was founded on a Judeo-Christian belief, that they set up this country for moral and religious people. Because how can you have a constitutional republic if you don't have set morals? So, with this, we need to understand that if we can talk to our neighbors and they truly understand simple truths, the golden rule and the 10 commandments, we could start pulling and having these conversations that have us so politically divided. Now, the warning is this. There are a lot of people who have their ears shut. They are so entrenched with wearing their political jerseys that they will not listen one way or the other, even when you lay out certain things that are truth. And the one thing that my grandfather always told me, he said, Kyle, north is always north. When it snows, north is always north. When the rain is pouring down on you, you can know that north is always north. So, with all this noise, with all this screaming, with all this divide, the simple truth is this: north is always north. And there's some things that you just can't deny. So, let's just take it one by one in this introduction and a simple thing. Can it be true that we are a nation set up by laws and we have a border set up? Is it true that we could be a very gracious nation and have legally a form of immigration that allows a lot of people to come in, which is the highest within the developed world? But is it true that when people come through mass migration, which is not legal, it's just mass migration that to show up, that they are breaking a nation's law? Yes. Is it also true that I could have compassion for people who want to come to this great nation and live here and flourish? And I say, why not? But north is still north. We are a nation of laws that we do need to abide by. And if we break down that foundation, we no longer cease to be a nation. And then you have to ask yourself, what do we become? I'm not knocking anybody who's trying to come here. What I'm knocking is how they come. Some know willingly that they are, hey, I'm breaking the law, I'm getting there no matter what. Some are saying, I don't care, I'm coming, whatever. But when they come here illegally, is it fair to say that a nation of law can say, no, you can go? These are simple truths. But in the noise that we have, is it also true to state that there are some people who wants this chaos to be created, where whole communities can change within a couple of years, where certain services that was normal and was provided for becomes taxed? Some school districts can't handle it. Esau learning, taken away from other students to provide for new students. It's a good thing, but at the same time, resources are being taxed. Housing, when some people come in under a protected status, who does that hurt? Case in point, recently, the two reservists who were in Washington that were shot by an Afghan immigrant, he was given public housing in the state of Washington. On average, I have learned, don't hold me to this, but we'll check it up, that it takes the average citizen anywhere between 4 to 6 years to get in line to go. But said community came over and boom, they were placed and took resources away from U.S. citizens. We're talking the elderly, the poor, the veterans, the ones who need the services they did not get. They had to wait. But some came in and got. Hey, we're a gracious nation. We did it. Why not? But this said man came in and didn't assimilate. North is north, people. So, assimilation is very important. If we have people who do not want to assimilate, how can we adjust as a nation or survive? Because what that creates by the spiritual evil forces, is creating enclaves of people who want nothing to do with the identity and the moral fabric of a nation. Separation. This isn't good. So this man, he goes off and does the horrendous things, kills one, and thank God one is recovering. But it happened. Case in point. Throughout the 2000s, a said group was placed in a city of Minnesota, and they grew and flourished. Now, recently, we are learning that there's a lot of fraud in programs and services that they have exploited. North is north. That is flat out wrong. Laws are laws. But if we graciously bring them in and they do not comport to our laws or try to adjust, or, I'm saying it again, assimilate, how can we survive? We are not here to set up different ghettos of culture from another far off land to come and be here. They need to assimilate. But if that doesn't happen, what do we have? We have enclaves of people. Now, here, we could fix these things and say, hey, you want to be here? Hey, there's an oath. We have to take it. Can you learn English? Can you learn our history? Can you learn this is the fiber of what we are to be? But this is where the rubber hits the road. There are some people that do not want to teach this. This leads into another issue. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, critical race theory, the politics of it all. It is just downright evil. It takes away everything that's in the fiber of our identity, which is merit-based system. They want to get away of the structure of things. But when you have people coming in and believing that, a certain class of people are racist or were privileged because of race, and this country was founded on an evil design of racism, I will look at them and say, well, you're just obtuse and do not know our nation's history. Are we perfect? No. But then I'll ask you, who are you comparing us to? There is no utopian society out there. And to my progressive friends, I know you're trying to create it, but it never works. Only thing it leads to is authoritarian, totalitarian, and a heavy-handed regime. All your policies point that way. And this is where you're going to have a mindset check. Are you willing to worship the gods of the copybook headings or listen to what your moral conscience is? And that is based on the Christian identity of this nation. And this is your conscience calling you. And it is. No matter how dark your soul may be and lost, it's time to pull it out. Because what are we doing? The spiritual forces of evil are trying to divide people and cause chaos. And this has been the playbook for 125 years to get people away from the founder's identity of this country and lead it to something else which will promise utopia. And in doing so, it breaks down society. And for those who don't know, look at what is happening in Europe. Following, I'm going to use the term, the globalist mindset, you had mass migration, not immigration, migration of Northern Africa and the Middle East coming through Europe and spreading. This is something that hasn't been seen since the Byzantine Empire lost to the Ottomans. The conflict, how Islam spread through the Christian world and just took over. It's happening again. Now, for people who want to migrate to said country, and I don't blame you, you want to come have a better life. But if you're denying what that host country is and the blessings that they are going to bestow on you and not assimilate, then you have to go. Because what's happening in Europe is shocking. it's fair to say that they lost their identity. In Germany, you have communities shutting down Christmas celebrations. You have young girls protecting themselves with knives because of child predators. You have whole towns that are unrecognizable within a decade. That is mass migration and not having people assimilate to said culture. And that's in Europe. And here in the United States, we have pockets of it. Minnesota, the Somalia communities, and in Michigan, Dearborn. In Dearborn. But now the problem is, and this is what's happening with the cultural rot, you are having people step up and are being fed up of this nonsense. And we have to be careful. Are we going to become an angry mob, or are we going to love thy neighbor? And that's going to be a challenge, because the emotions of a mob takes over your soul. You become soulless. And it's starting to happen. It's happening in Europe, and it's starting to happen here, where people are starting to speak up. And what's going to happen is, let's just say you had this woman at the Cinnabon store just going off, claiming I am a racist, calling a Somali couple the N-word. She's fed up. And that may be her soul truly, but she's just fed up. And the truth is, a lot of people are tired of being called racist and pushed to it with this DEI, that, white privilege and all that stuff. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. But that is where we are and where we're happening. So, again, with the understanding north is north, how do we address these things? And how do we pull people together culturally and accept some simple truths? 2 points there. You have language is important. There's immigration. We have legal immigration, but migration. That's like hordes of people coming over. So we have to address it. And I give Trump credit. He shut down the border. And if you have eyes to see, we saw anywhere between, I don't know, they say 12 million to 22. We don't know what the number is. Just say 12 million. 12 million shocks the system. He's fixing it. He's going after criminals and people who have deportation letters. But then, with that, if people are around them who are also there illegally, who may have not done something wrong, but they did break the law by coming illegally, they get swept up and go. It's been reported that 1 million people self-deported. They got the message and they want to obey the law. Smart. You have other people who are hiding. But now, the spiritual forces of evil want to paint a different picture of that. They want to play on your emotions. And here's the truth. If we do not come together and understand that we're nations of laws, and if we just want to throw it out and allow certain cities to be sanctuary cities, this is what we want to do. We don't care about the federal law. You can't do this to us. We're just not going to abide. We're going to have chaos. Look at Chicago, chaos. Look at what happened in Louisiana. They're going to protest the ICE riots. Then people calling up, throwing rocks in LA. Violence, this, violence, that. And the only thing that's happening is people are trying to enforce the law. And it wasn't too long ago where Obama fought the governor of Arizona. Her name was Brewster. I'm not going to say the name. I forget. But the point is, the Supreme Court argued this. The state cannot stop federal enforcement. There was in reverse. The state was saying the federal government's not enforcing the law, so we're going to do it. The Supreme Court said you can't do that. It's in the jurisdiction of the federal government. So Trump comes in and he's trying to enforce it. And now you have these states or cities saying, "No, you can't do that." This has already been adjudicated. It lies in the executive. We're doing it, and we have to accept it. Nation of law. North is north. But then we allow communities to be set up unsimulated, and we have these problems. So you look at the scandal of money being theft out in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, the city. It's mind-boggling, and it was allowed to happen. And my point is, we need to come together and start speaking to these issues lovingly, so people's eyes are aware, because we have to get people to wake up, look at how we're being governed. Where can we come together and make the right choices? Because it's a slippery slope. Only thing you have to do is really look at Europe and the state they're in, and it's not good. It's frightening. And the question is that what we want for ourselves? I don't want it for my son. I want him to be blessed with everything that this country has, but it looks bleak. So, you got to think about it. But these evil forces are trying to divide us. That's just one issue. And just think about how messy that is right now, just talking about it. It's messy. People's emotions get up. You have newscasters putting out the soft story of, oh, this person was trying to go to work and they got raided. Sorry. There are some things that are happening that they don't report. One, a lot of people do not know how this administration saved a lot of children. 40,000 children who were unidentified have been identified and are in safekeepings now. People don't want to admit that there was slavery, sex trafficking, mainly of children, with this mass migration. Slavery. In our country, and you don't want to address that? You don't want to talk about it? It happened. But why? Spiritual forces of evil. North is north, and there is evil out there too. So we have to accept that. And then if you look at things that don't seem right, it's simple, because they're not right. You'll know people by their fruit. That's the greatest wisdom. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. So when you look at certain actions and you see what it produces, there it is. But in our world, the greatest trick that evil has is the ability not to share the truth. So you have many people walking around believing the border was secure. You had an administration leader not too long ago. Everything is fine. The border's secure. Everything's run orderly. Do you have eyes to see and ears to listen? That is evil. Now it's trying to be addressed. But with the people who are here, how can we love them? How can they come? But how can they assimilate? Because not all of them are going to go. They're just not. That's also a simple truth. North is north. But this simulation needs to happen. But what are they going to simulate to? And what is the culture that we want for our society? It's there. It's something to think about. And then there's point two. You know, and we need to talk about this. Another different subject, but this has been getting under my craw for a long time, and it's simple. And the reasoning of the modern world and how some people want to argue things, it just boggles the mind. And it doesn't make sense. All right. So for a confirmation hearing, you had a candidate to be appointed to Supreme Court. She admits that when asked a question, can you define a woman? She said, no, I can't. I am not an expert. Okay. So she was confirmed. She's on court. But let's just break this down. So throughout creation, throughout mammal, just animal species history, throughout what we see and what we know, we are now supposed to bend the knee and conform to sexual identity, where a man can say, I am a woman. And with that, get all the privileges and the need and want to be treated as a woman. Now, from birth, and in all animal species, you come out male or female. This is language. We call it male or female. Biblically, male, female, woman, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Nature's law, male, female, procreate, make children. They become male, female, spread. We are supposed to deny that. We're supposed to deny that males are built differently from females. We're to deny that males may be physically stronger than females. We're supposed to accept that a male says they are a female and wants you to adjust your understanding to that need. So, how can we have a society that can't speak to that and say, no, that's just flat out wrong, and that's crazy? A man should not be going into a locker room to change. That's just insane. Where's the protection of our women? My God. How can we allow this to happen? How can some areas, gyms, schools, allow this to happen? Especially the schools. How can you, and this is a big thing, I'm here in the DC metro area, these school districts are wiling out, and the young girls are not protected. So a boy who claims to be a girl goes into the locker room and watches. This is not new, people. It's happening. So there are some that say, well, that's okay. Let it happen. Really? Or, no, it's okay. She wants to become a he. So through her pubescent years, she wants to alter her body and go with it. And I'm a parent. I'm told that we have to do it. What are we doing? North is north. It's a simple truth. Male, female, male, female. Why is there a need to confuse it? The spiritual forces of evil, they're all around us. This is really an attack of true identity. This is not even culture. This is really, it's chaos and confusion. That's the only reason why it's happening. What? You really think they care about that individual? No. I'm sorry. I love you and I feel for you. A child should not go through that. If you're an adult and you do that to your body, okay. I'm telling you it's wrong. I wish you didn't do that. Embrace your body that God has given you and be you in that body. But I'm telling you with love. I love you and I accept you for who you are. But we can't have you be a biological male, go into a female's locker room. Can't happen. We can't have men looking at little girls. We can't have boys participate in girls' sports and take away their needs, meaning the girls. They work so hard at these athletic sports being stripped away of titles. Can't we see that's wrong? Or these men that go in the boxing rings and mixed martial arts and destroying women. It's a disadvantage. It's wrong. It's wrong. North is north, people. But again, the chaos is there. So, what do we do about it? I say we got to speak to the issues. Understand simple truths. North is north. Understand that there is forces of evil that are out there. And they want to sow chaos. And then 3, for this country, we need to embrace what the founders laid out and understood that this whole system that they created will only work if we're a moral conscience and a big component of that, religious people. And that religion they were talking about was Christianity. You could read their writings. I'm not saying all founders were Christians. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, they were heavily influenced by Christianity and what they heard in their pews back then. And that's another thing. Our churches, what are you doing? You become more entertainment than filling the soul with nourishment. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Some of you churches are so soft, you won't even talk about these social issues. You don't want to offend anybody. Well, if you read the Bible, you're going to offend some people. So, this is going to be a journey. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk about these things. Let's address them one by one. You can check me out. I'll be putting posts up left and right, doing my thing. And in truth, I don't know what I'm doing. But we need to speak up, take the head seat of the table, and have a conversation. Because when you're called to be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power, you can put on the full armor of God and walk out with your head up. And as I would like to say, take in the air and be bold. So remember this, my friends. We're going to be coming back at it. God loves you, and I love you too.